Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is your podcast for all things hockey. On this podcast, we talk about past history to the modern day and what you can do to grow the sport. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. Here we go. All right. So welcome back to episode to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast, episode 33. With me today is a very special guest, Brandon Potter. Brandon, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing terrific. Let's get into it. So I do want to talk to you today a little bit about the Junior League. And how you were introduced to hockey and just the whole 9 yards. So if you don't mind me asking, can you please share a little bit of how you got started into hockey?
Yeah, for sure. I got started skating when I was about 4 years old. Did some skating lessons down at the Gardens Ice House in Laurel, Maryland, and then eventually worked my way into the Learn to Play Hockey with the Nelson Burton Hockey Club. Did that about when I was, I was five. I was five when I started that. So yeah, starting into hockey real early. And my dad was a big hockey guy. He played men's league at the rink and always encouraged me to go out and skate around whenever I could go to like a one of those free skates. So yeah, got real start early, mostly because of my dad's influence.
All right. So you played in the Junior League, correct?
Yeah, I played a year of junior hockey.
What was that like with junior hockey?
It was pretty fun overall. It was pretty much just like in my the way I played it. It was very similar to any travel youth hockey organization. Just a little bit advanced or a little bit more travel pretty much. So we did 3 practices a week. One of our practices we'd have off ice before practice, a little off ice conditioning once a week, and then 3 times on the ice. So it was pretty standard, I feel like, for junior hockey. And then weekends it was mostly a lot of road trips. It was very similar to actually when I played at Towson, when we were together at Towson. If you don't have 2 home games that weekend, you're on the road somewhere. And for us, it was mostly up and down the East Coast, some stuff in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, sometimes down to Virginia. But that was very rare to go to Virginia. It was mostly north. We went to Boston a couple weekends during the season for big showcases to play some extra games on the weekends. But it was just a lot more travel. Pretty much, but it was a lot of fun. Very, very casual, I would say. The program I played at was a tier 2 junior B team, so it wasn't very it was serious for the guys that played it, but overall it was on the bottom end of junior hockey.
Junior B, so it was not A, and then you go to, so you have B, then you have A, then you have double A, then triple A.
Yeah, no, so that's for youth hockey, but juniors is they have you have tier 2 juniors and tier 1. Tier 1's like the real high level stuff. That's where most kids are going to probably get recruited to play NCAA hockey somewhere. And then tier 2 is mostly for those competitive or players that want to keep playing competitive hockey after youth hockey and before possibly going to go play some college hockey somewhere. But usually if you're playing tier 2 juniors, you might have an outside shot to get recruited to D3 or a D2 team, but it's mostly guys are looking to like just play some competitive hockey a little bit longer before going to college and playing like some ACHA hockey or something like that.
Of course. You have a podcast called the Sinbin Podcast. What was your most recent episode like? You guys, what did you talk about? And also, what is your experience with the Sinbin Podcast been?
Yeah, we So our podcast is by Dorm Room Sports. Dorm Room Sports has a bunch of different podcasts, pretty much every sport: basketball, baseball, hockey. I don't think they're totally into lacrosse yet, but they also talk fantasy for each sport. But I'm on the hockey podcast, and what we mostly talk about is the NHL. Once in a while, we'll reference in some AHL talk or a little bit of East Coast talk if it's relevant to some guys getting called up or some big stories. But it's mostly just NHL talk, and usually we get started in the season. We do like a preseason review over the summer after the teams have done all their trades and the free agents frenzy, and kind of when they're gearing up for camp, we look at the rosters and we determine, based on each of our opinions, who's going to be like a division leader, who's going to be a bottom feeder, trying to seek out the number one overall pick. And then during the season, we just talk each from week to week about some big milestones that happen in that week, or something crazy, like if there's a big hit or a dirty play that is resulting in suspension. But it's a lot of just NHL talk and a lot of just analyzing the NHL and stuff like that.
That's terrific. What would you recommend to those trying to get into college hockey, whether that be NCAA or what we did in the ECHA? What would you recommend to those students? Or
you mean like guys looking to play or just looking to watch?
Looking to play.
Play? Oh yeah, definitely. So if you're looking to play like club college hockey, in the ACHA, which is totally fine, not everybody's going to go to the NCAA, but there's some really competitive teams. And what's great about the time of you asking me this, Adam, is there's not a lot, but there's a pretty solid handful of games this year where there's ACHA teams playing against Division I teams. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I want to say it was like early November, so maybe a little over a month ago, UNLV, which is the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, they're a top ACHA team. Very, very good. I think they're number one right now this year. And another top 10 ranked team, I'm not sure where they're ranked now, but at Liberty University, both of those two teams went to Las Vegas, played Alaska Anchorage, who is not a top D1 team, but they're still, still D1, and they're pretty competitive. They're not a low end D1. They're probably like mid tier, but on the bottom end of the mid tier, I'd say, but still a pretty good D1 team. And both of those ACHA teams played Alaska Anchorage, and then those two ACHA teams each played each other twice. So, and then there's been some other weekends, some other teams that have played Division I teams. I think Liberty's played someone else that's NCAA Division I. So for those getting into hockey, don't think that the ACHA is some league where it doesn't really matter and like anybody can go play. It's still very competitive, and they have Division I, Division II, Division III. So if you're really looking to play some serious college hockey, but it's not NCAA, there's still some really good teams in the ACHA that do some high level recruiting. But if you're just someone who wants to go and just play some more hockey as you go to college, there's definitely a school for you out there. Like there's a lot of ACHAs, like pretty much every school you could think of probably has an ACHA team, whether it's D1, D2, or D3. And some schools, they get a lot of hockey players that a lot of draw in the hockey community have D1, D2, and D3 teams. So some schools even have three teams. I think one of those teams is West Virginia. They have a team in each division. So there's some schools like that. So there's hockey everywhere. If you really want to play, just figure out what schools you're interested in and start seeing if they have ACHA teams.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about just briefly what happened with me when I got recruited before you came.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bench runner. I was a bench warmer, as they call it. I didn't get to play much, not until senior night of high school did I get to really see any significance, and I was doing pretty well, and I was outclassed by a lot of guys in AAA as well. and it was a lot of persistence. And I almost scored on Steve Kelly on my first attempt. So that was
Nice.
a very, so that was a little bit of more persistence than anything else. But what would you say to the bench warmers of getting in there as well and just not giving up?
Yeah, I'd say for those guys that are typically bench warmers, fourth line players, guys who aren't playing a whole lot. One thing, and I've noticed I've grown more closer to this topic as I've started coaching as well. Since I've graduated Towson, coaches look for those guys that are gonna be the grinders, the guys that work the hardest. So what I say is get out there and practice. And if you're a guy who's getting scratched more nights than most, or you're a guy who's you're dressing for games, but you're not seeing much playing time or many minutes, really give an effort in practice, and on and off the ice. So if you guys do, weights, like do some weight sessions where you're in the gym lifting weights as a team, or if you're a guy or if you guys do off ice training, really take your off ice training seriously to help improve your on ice stuff. And then when you're in practice, just be one of those guys that's involved in every drill. One of those guys that's, the coach is going to notice you in every drill with your effort level. You don't have to be the most skilled guy out there to really impress the coaches. They just really look for the guys that are going to work the hardest for them. Because when it comes to game time, they're going to play the guys, normally they're going to play guys at the end of the game who have the most skill that can put the puck in the net. But during the games, they're looking for guys that can provide energy for the team. And if you're one of those guys, those kids that can just constantly move your feet, be involved in the play, and just pretty much be a pest for the other team, that's one way to get noticed and get more ice time, is just keep it simple. Dump the puck in, chase after the puck, but throw pucks in net and create some plays, and just be an energy guy, be a pest to the other team.
Of course. You are now coaching. How many levels have you coached? Have you coached those like under 13, or are you coaching more of the midgets? What level are you coaching now?
I'm coaching U14 this year, but I've pretty much coached every age group. I started out just coaching U18s. I haven't coached U16s yet, but I've coached some kids that are like that age. They've just been put up to the 18s because of their size and stuff. But I've coached 18s, I've coached 14s. I've done some camps in the summer times with real little kids, like the peewees and the mites and the squirts. So I've pretty much coached every age at some point. And now I've started to do private lessons where I coach kids all ages from, like fifth graders all the way up to high school seniors and stuff like that. And some kids that are even in college. So I've been coaching pretty much every age for the last couple of years.
Yeah, perfect. Now, before I ask you about your high school experience, I do want to remind the audience to sign up for my Substack at $5 a month. You get exclusive written articles and exclusive bonus episodes from yours truly, in addition to videos. So definitely check out rothsteina.substack.com. The link for that will be in the show notes and or description. All right, so I have to ask you how your high school experience went. So tell me, from the 9th grade to the 12th, what was it like? Or did you just play juniors?
No, so I only played 1 year of juniors, and I'll comment on that real quick. I played 1 year of juniors after I was out of high school, and currently when I was going to Towson. But when I was in high school, my freshman year wasn't the best. It was okay. Like I got some minutes, I got to play a little bit, but our coaches that year seemed to play the seniors a lot, the most, and some of the juniors. And to me, it just was not a great experience. The coaches seemed to be relatively new coaches, kind of old school. But then after that, those coaches left and we got some new coaches in, and it was more about developing players and putting out kids who are given the effort, guys that are going to produce the most, and just all around the guys that they're going to be confident in on the ice. So after that, after my freshman year, I really took it real seriously. to be one of those players in high school that the coaches could trust and put on the ice more to earn more minutes. And our high school team actually got really good over the years and came very close to making it to the state playoffs. And then eventually we won our county in my senior year and made to the states and ended up winning the state championship for the 2A division. So overall, my high school experience started out like kind of okay, and then it gradually grew and developed a lot of close friends with my high school buddies, and we ended up becoming really close and winning a state championship. So that was a pretty awesome experience in the end.
Did you face off against Winston Churchill High?
No, we never faced Winston Churchill. They were a good team. They always seemed to come up a little short. But I mean, we only made to the state playoffs once in my time in high school, so we never got to see them. But I know they were a pretty dominant team in winning state playoffs. But they're also, I think, a 3A team, and we are 2A.
As in, they had a lot of AAA guys.
3A is in like their school was bigger. They had a lot more kids attending their school. So the 1A, 2A, 3A is based on size of your school and possibly your county. It probably has something to do with it. But Winston Churchill was always in the 3A, the more competitive teams, the teams that could draw. They had more people going to school there, so they drew more hockey players. But they also had a lot of AAA players.
They did, and one of those players is Zach Arden. He was a friend of Joe Vanakis's. He actually roomed with him, and there are other such classics as myself getting checked into the boards by him.
Yeah, I know Zach Arden real well. I play actually men's league against him now, and I coached against him last year.
Oh, you do? Then you should definitely send this over to him when we're done here.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, I did not know that you knew him.
Yeah.
So I played for Walter Johnson. So I also was in 3A. There were a lot of definitely kids I could compete against. That was clear. When you put me up against the Travel A players, I could certainly hold my own. But like when you put me up against Arden and the Shirker brothers, like I could not. It was like putting me like they were just filled with those guys though, that in the double A's. So and I guess that was probably why the levels were very different and why you saw so much disparity across the board. So is that something that you had to go through as well?
Yeah, I mean, high school hockey is always very different because it's all about who's going to your school. And it seems to me that every school has, different, they all have the same level of players. Some schools are lucky enough to have AAA players that go to their school and can help their program and their teams a bit more than others. There's always a few AA players. When I was going to school in Howard County, there's always a couple schools that have some AA players. And then there's always the A level players. And then there's like the B level players. And then every team has those kids that are just starting to play hockey. They're relatively new. They can't really skate that well, but they're there because it's high school hockey. No one gets cut, and they just want to learn how to play hockey. They pretty much want to play a sport with their buddies, and every team has those guys. So you get a huge gap in the level from the bottom guys to the top guys in high school hockey. But everybody. It's always that way. And then you get to some of those schools that are pretty lucky to have like a ton of kids where they can field two teams at the public school level, varsity, and then you form a JV team. Those schools to me are always the better schools because there's so many kids. They don't really have two teams of, decent players. They usually will have a lot of really good players. And then the okay players will, be towards the bottom at the JV level.
Perfect. Are you still playing beer league?
Oh yes, yeah, still playing a couple of times a week, playing a few different teams. Just joined a new skate, which is more like an organized pickup. But they take it very seriously and it's pretty high level. So that's been a lot of fun.
I have joined a beer league with Taylor Powell, so that was pretty nice. I played with him for a couple games, but he played this weekend. I got waitlisted and was out.
Yeah, he was
So
telling
that
me
makes
he had a game the other night.
yeah. There was that. I do think it's still important to get out there and keep your skills sharp, even though we're not going to be in the NHL or um or just get a hat trick in the NHL or even go to the AHL. But
Yeah.
but I do see that some of that there are definitely a lot of ex-college players who go out and play and are just dominant. But now in beer league, we don't even check. Um, are you in a league that checks at all?
No, I honestly don't know where there is a league these days. I'm sure there's some out there, but I know at least most of the leagues I've played in Maryland, in the DMV. I played in Virginia for one season. There's been no check-in leagues that I've seen, or I haven't even heard of any in the Maryland area. So yeah, no, I feel like that'd be pretty intense, and there'd be a lot of dangers because it seems like even the leagues I play in with non-check, there's still a good chance that there's going to be a scrum or a little bit of a brawl in those games because guys take it pretty serious and they get rubbed the wrong way once, and it's like all hell breaks loose. So yeah, if there was checking men's league, I don't know if I'd want to be a part of it at this day and age.
I don't even want to be a part of it. I mean, I've got enough injuries and enough like problems. Like my back is like Mario Lemieux at this point.
Right.
Because of all the injuries I sustained. In fact, I actually the other weekend I was hit on the side, but or from it was slightly behind me, but it would have been a penalty had they called it, and I was just like pushed, not in the checking sense, but
Yeah.
pushed from behind to where it should have been a penalty, but that didn't happen. So what are the other players' skills like? Are some of the men's leagues? Do they have newer players that just are terrible at skating and just starting out for the first time?
Yeah, so the one rink that I had mentioned that I play at, I started my hockey career at the Gardens Ice House. They have a bunch of men's leagues, and they do theirs. They either silver and bronze, and then they sometimes, if they have enough good players, they'll have a gold league. But they haven't had one in a couple of years. So they do silver, upper, middle, lower. So they have 3 divisions for the silver, which is mostly guys that play competitively still and played some sort of competitive hockey growing up, whether it was just playing youth hockey, travel hockey, or maybe they played a little bit in college, like ACHA or something, or they like never went to college. They may have played a little bit of junior. So it's still like competitive leagues. And then you get some of those guys that maybe never played a high level competitive hockey, but like have just gotten good over time, as they become adults. And then you have the bronze leagues, and the bronze leagues range from bronze 1 all the way down to bronze 5, I think, at Laurel. So there's a lot of bronze leagues, and bronze 5 is very, very beginner. It's a lot of guys skating and falling down, guys just whacking the puck all over the place. But sometimes you get some guys in there that can make some good plays. So yeah, they have a big range for men's league. And then the league I play now is like 3 divisions. They're all pretty competitive. But yeah, you still get that wide range of men's league players, and some guys that are just trying to get out of the house once a week just to have some fun for a couple hours on a weeknight.
And get away from their wives.
Yeah, get away from the wives, get away from the kids. It's like their time away. So it's like their time away from the house in the winter's men's league, and then they're probably time away from the house in the summers is golf. So, but yeah, you get a wide range of guys.
So you've ref before you've made some money, correct?
No, I actually haven't. I tried to ref when I was younger. But I just assumed that I was gonna like know everything on the ref test, and I took the test and I didn't pass the ref test. Didn't know all the rules properly, so I never refed. But that was when I was like real young. I wasn't driving yet, so my dad was gonna have to drive me all over the place to ref, and yeah, I just never ended up doing it.
That's I do still think that, you know, if you do want to make some extra money, it's worth it to learn the hand signals as well. I even did an episode on that. You can go check that out um, out on Spotify if you want to see the video of that, or my YouTube channel as well. So there is something else. You were reffing for like one of the alumni games. I do remember that.
Yeah, I
And
did. I did do that once.
so yeah, and you did pretty well, I'll admit. Um, so Coach Slusher, when I
Yeah.
did get promoted to assistant coach, um, you could definitely tell that I was getting better. I was learning you a lot more and overall becoming a better person out of that
Yep.
experience. I guess my question on that is, uh, how do we get more people, you know, to get that mentorship under their wing and then go off and then go teach youth or U14 or U18? How do we get that? Uh, how do we get the ball rolling on that and helping, you know, those that were like me get that confidence to go out there and go win some games as coaches, or just
Yeah.
actually just
A good question. I think you just gotta mostly you gotta have some you gotta have men or women that will have a desire to coach. And typically you see these days in youth hockey, it's a parent gets kind of persuaded into volunteering to coach. Or maybe you as college kids, like for Towson, what we did was we always went out for our community service hours and helped Coach Ed with the youth hockey clinics and being on the ice and just coaching some kids. And I think that's where you can get um, some passion for it and some kids interested when they're young and when they're in college. I remember when we did that every year for a couple times a year, and I always enjoyed going out there helping coach the little kids and having fun with the team and with the boys, and also helping out with the local youth organization. And I always had a desire to coach when I was younger playing. I was like, I definitely want to, once I finish my playing days, I want to keep playing men's league. I want to coach. I want to get really, always want to be involved in the game. But yeah, I think it's definitely stuff like volunteering to help the little kids or help the mites on ice, the kids that play cross ice now. Maybe it's volunteering to be a ref because you don't really have to. I don't think they require certified refs for some of those cross ice games because it's just there's a time clock, there's no score, and the kids just play for like 20-30 minutes and then it's like done. So maybe get some guys involved in that and help out with some in a local league. But yeah, it's just pretty much trying to get some people involved and get that passion going for hockey and want to continue to be involved, really.
there are almost 1 billion fans to this game. Um, the problem that I have been experiencing is the cost. It could be up to like $300 for a pair of skates. You have like 10 if you're lucky, $10 for sharpening.
Yeah.
5 for wax laces. By the way, I got a good deal on that. And 300 for a stick, and we're not even at the main equipment yet. So for someone that's just starting, what would you recommend? And also, would you have any other ideas on how we could get the cost down?
Yeah. Cost is tough because rates always go up. But I think it's just coming together collectively as a community. This may seem very naive or a broad statement, but there's got to be a starting point where there's a standard for every ice rink, and you got to drive the price of ice down, because ice these days can cost like $350 for an hour of ice, which is very expensive. And then if you're talking about youth hockey that has 2 practices a week for 6 months, that's a lot of ice you got to pay for. So just driving down the cost for ice. And I mean, I know it's expensive to maintain, and Zambonis are expensive to fix, and ice rinks take a lot of money to run them, but um there are other ways to approaching the cost of hockey, and you can go on websites and find cheaper gear. You can go to stores, like local stores, support your local businesses. Go to like Play It Again Sports. Play It Again Sports buys and sells used equipment. Go there and you can find a pair of gloves for $20. That's where when I was growing up, there was one in Ellicott City, Maryland. My dad would take me there to get all of our equipment. I got skates there for very cheap growing up. I'd always have a used pair of skates, never had a brand new pair of skates. Just buy some used gear when you're first starting out. Get some good gear that has been used by someone, still in good shape, and you help the wallet out, and so the wallet's not hurting so much when you're paying for all this gear. And then as the kid gets older, maybe once in a while for a birthday or Christmas, you get them something like really nice. But it's also teaching the kids to take care of their equipment. But like sometimes I feel like kids these days, they don't really think about it, and they break their equipment and they don't take care of it, and you got to get something new the next year. So it's also about maintaining your gear and having a respect for it. But yeah, like I said, there's totally like places out there. Like I go on this website called Sideline Swap. I buy all my gear there. I get it. Like people sell like pro stock gear and youth hockey gear, and you can buy it for like real cheap, depending on the people. If they got some real fancy stuff, they sell for top dollar. But I found a pair of skates there for $300, and they were brand new, and they were really nice skates. So I find stick bundles. I buy two sticks at a time that someone's selling, and they're really nice sticks, and I buy them for like $150 for 2 sticks.
There is a lot I have to add as well.
Yeah.
Wooden sticks. I played with a wooden stick because I was a cheap SOB for a little while. I had
Nothing wrong with the wooden stick. They are underrated. They're good sticks.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend like a Sherwood 3050. I believe that's the model number.
Yeah.
It could be that's the model number.
Yep, that's still the Sherwood 3050.
Okay, so I got that right. So that is a good thing, and that's like $20-$30. That's like an hour of work for us.
Yeah,
essentially. So, like $30 hockey stick, and you are golden there. And it's not the worst thing, and it will weigh a little more, but then when you're ready to purchase the composite stick, you're going to be ready, and your hands are going to be perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely handling the heavier sticks helps with your hands and puck handling skills and stuff like that. So it's always good to have a practice stick that might be a little bit heavier. And then when you go to the games, you got the nice light stick, and it feels a world of difference.
Yeah. Now you said that ice was going to run you $350 an hour.
Yeah.
Did you
Some
know,
places?
What?
Some places it does. Some are a little bit more lenient, but most places it's the cost has been driven up.
And now, what about an in-house league where the ice surface is synthetic ice? That actually does not seem like a bad idea, and I'm actually kind of surprised why no one's going to take that up, even as a try. You have the Polyglide that sort of like lubricates itself. You have some of these synthetic tiles that lubricate themselves as well, and I'm still curious why no one has picked them up as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, synthetic ice, the facility that I work at, that I do private lessons, is a synthetic ice facility. You can skate on it like the real stuff. It's really cost efficient. It doesn't cost nearly enough to maintain as it does for ice. You can use it. Just takes a little bit of cleaning and maintenance. That it's don't have to have a Zamboni for it. Don't have to pay for the all the cooling system to keep ice cold, because it's not ice, it's just tiles, like you said. And it's beneficial too, because it finds ways to expose your deficiencies, or the areas in your skating where you're not as good, your edge work, possibly your speed. And because if you can't skate properly, it will pretty much like attack those deficiencies, and you'll fall 9 times out of 10. And it pretty much forces you to get better with your skating, which is really cool. It's a great training tool to have. But yeah, I mean, we have a mini rink there, and we have teams will rent out the mini rink at our facility and play like 3-on-3 just for fun. And it's a great way. It's just not traditional towards regular ice hockey. So I think that's why you're not seeing that as much. Plus, there's roller hockey. So I think people might think it's a nice cross between roller hockey and ice hockey. So it's getting bigger. So in the next couple of years, like you said, we might see a shift towards people creating leagues that it's like a synthetic ice league.
I would gladly
cool.
pay 200 for like 12 games, even if it was on synthetic ice.
Yeah.
Do I appreciate traditional ice? Yes, I do. But would I take some synthetic ice to save some money? You know it, because I'm a cheap SOB and I do not swear on this podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is expensive to skate on ice, which is why another thing, like when the pandemic hit, I switched to roller hockey, because that was all the ice rinks were shut down, but the roller rinks for some reason weren't here in Maryland. And I switched to roller hockey, and it was so much cheaper than ice hockey. It's insane. But to me, it's not as fun. It's not as fun as ice hockey, and there's always a huge draw for ice hockey.
Yeah. I've never been on rollerblades, or if I have been, it was a very long time ago. Do you notice anything specific with a rollerblade, or to compare that to an ice skate?
Yeah, I mean, for one, there's the ability to stop. It's a lot harder to stop with the rubber wheels on the tiles, the roller hockey tiles, or even concrete, compared to your ice blades digging into the ice. So the stopping is a big thing. You use a lot less energy skating. And I think that has something to do with the physics of between roller hockey and ice hockey. Digging your skate blades in the ice it takes up a lot more energy than just taking a stride with your rubber wheels hitting the pavement or the roller hockey floor court. So there's that's a big difference. The overall temperature of the game. So like ice hockey, it's cold on the ice. I mean, you get hot, sweating a lot. That's just, you're working hard and you're sweating. You get warm, but overall it's still cold. The ice rink is cold. Whereas the roller rinks, I mean, you get hot really fast. So to me, it affects your stamina a little bit as the game goes on. So there's that is a difference. But then there's also the rules. There's no offsides in roller hockey. It's 4-on-4 instead of 5-on-5. Usually you play 2 halves instead of 3 periods. So a little bit of a rule change. Overall, it's very similar, but there's a little bit of differences. But they're both very fun. Roller hockey is definitely, if it's something when it comes down to price or stuff like that, like roller hockey is definitely a lot of fun.
And there's no offsides, correct? In some of the roller hockey leagues.
Yeah, roller hockey has no blue line, so there's no offsides. So literally, you could have little Jimmy all the way at the other end in the offensive zone, cherry picking. He can just sit behind the goal, and you could be playing 4-on-3 in your side of the ice or your side of the court. And you can have a guy all the way at the end. You can pass him the puck whenever you wanted to. It's pretty funny how there's no offsides. I kind of like it. Keeps the flow of the game going. There's less whistles, which is kind of nice. and they play when the puck hits the netting behind the goals on the glass. The puck hits the netting in roller hockey, you keep playing. There's no whistle to stop the play dead.
No whistle to stop the play dead.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice because the game just keeps on going, and there's a lot more flow to the game of roller hockey, which is kind of cool, kind of fun.
Wow. We got through a lot in nearly 50 minutes of this. I guess follow up. Did Coach Slusher make you a better human being? You certainly worked with him before coming to Towson.
No, I didn't really work with him before. I mean, I knew Coach Slusher before that. I never really worked with him. I would say, yeah. I mean, I overall I learned a lot from Coach Ed. I think watching him as a coach, he definitely got me very interested in being a coach myself. Definitely, I was always interested, but he kind of progressed my drive, I guess I would say, to be a coach or even a head coach at one point in my life. And seeing him, because he was a youth hockey director as well at the rink that we played at, and seeing him work with kids and do clinch with kids, it really made me grow a bit bigger of a passion, which I think, my passion for hockey has definitely helped me become a better human being and a better person, just for having that passion in life. So yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed having Coach Ed be my coach for 4 years at Towson.
And he was mine too for 4 years, even though I
Yeah.
assisted him for two of those.
Yep.
Final two. I peaked at this game at the age of 20, and I was like ready to go junior year, thinking that okay, I'm gonna get some playing time. I'm dominating everything, and then it's like, nope, you're going to be an assistant coach at him, even though you're doing pretty well and you're tearing it up out there. I mean, if anything, I think he was worried that I couldn't take the hits, and that was the big issue. Because in beer league, I'm dominant. I'll tell you that much. And it's much easier to do the crossovers and just deke there and not have to worry about getting clocked all the time.
Right.
I will admit that. Wow. I never thought we'd go by this quickly. So favorite hockey video game, and then I'll call it a wrap.
Well, there's the major one, NHL 23, or NHL, just EA Sports, NHL in general. I never liked the 2K games, although there were some fun things in 2K. Back when 2K was making NHL games. One of the ones recently that people keep talking about on YouTube and social media is the Zamboni game, the Zamboni perk in the game. So one thing was cool in 2K 10 and 11. If you played a game, like let's say you and I played a game against each other, and or you played a game online or franchise mode or be a pro, you could be the Zamboni driver during intermission, and you would try to zam 100% of the ice and get 100% within like 3 minutes, which is really cool. So that part I did enjoy. I also enjoyed NHL Hits, where it's kind of like NFL Street Ball, where you're just going for big hits all the time. But they do have a game mode in the new NHL games for EA Sports, which is kind of like NHL Hits. There's no penalties. It's 3-on-3. You can just clobber guys and get big hits and score some goals, which is fun. So, I mean, definitely NHL, EA Sports NHL is my favorite game. But there's been some fun ones over the years.
Of course, EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yeah, I wish they still did that, but they don't do that anymore.
Oh, so I can't. Oh, okay. So I can't make commission on that. So it's just the logo, and then it's just
They do some more fancy intros now, but they don't have that guy with the low voice doing the game intro anymore, unfortunately.
That was Andrew Anthony. I mean, I missed him though. Like I worked on that voice so much.
Yeah, he did it pretty well. That was pretty good.
And all that voice acting stuff. If you've been with me for Blue Oasis,
yeah,
as well. Wow. I guess any questions from me at all?
No, I don't think so. I was going to ask you about how men's league's going, but it sounds like it's you've got a team now and it's going pretty well down there in Florida.
Yeah, I've actually scored about 5 goals in 7 games, which is not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad, man. It's pretty good.
And that's still pretty good. It is difficult to work with some of them. They do not know when to cycle or how to
Yeah.
cycle because I tip because on this one play I passed to the one of the defensemen. Then typically I would expect him to pass to another defenseman, which he did in this scenario. And then I would kind of cycle backwards skates, come
Mhm.
across and and then just go skate up to the red line with it. But then there's like, but no, they're telling me to go up, go up, go up because there's 2 other forwards in
Yeah.
at already at that other blue line, and the play was off. So I was like not used to, being so those guys being so out of position. But yeah,
Yeah, that is a tough thing. Sometimes you get some guys that are always out of position and it's a struggle to play with them.
of course. I can. I'm gonna end the episode about here. Okay. Links for the Sinbin podcast will be in the show notes / description. Also, if you want to get access to my written contact and also some bonus episodes, that would be you would be impressed. It's definitely worth the $5 a month. You get access to everything I've written, all the bonus episodes and videos. That is all yours for $5 a month. And I post and I write at least 1 or 2 articles weekly, for one for paid members and another for free, typically as well. So, with this being said, has been episode 33 of the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. Stay safe, everyone, and take care. Take care.